Hey everybody, this is Dark Guardsman. We're back with another update on the assembly line here with the progress of changes and everything else. I know we're supposed to be working on atomic science and a little bit mix of the game stuff, but we can see that the assembly line has become a focus, just kind of out of necessity of working on fixing bugs and everything else. So some of the feature additions that have, of course, been implemented at least over the night here is that the end caps do actually have a little bit of frame on them. I don't know if we're still going to put a full top on this. This is something I'm still thinking about how I want it to look, because obviously you wouldn't have a full top on an end cap. End caps are meant to be entry points into the system and exit points out of the system is what they're meant to be, so putting a top on it doesn't make 100% sense, but at the same time kind of does as well. It won't be too hard to actually implement when I do figure out how to do it. Is I've got the code with this. Is basically how this went down when implementing it. Is I took the same exact code we use for the normal belts and just kind of tweaked it until I got this down here, which works really well. It's actually pretty easy. Doing the top is going to be the same process. There's going to be a series of pieces, so it's going to involve, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces just for the side, so you end up with 8 on that side, and I think we have another 4 on the top. So we end up with 12 pieces per thing, which will take a while to do. I'm planning on maybe using the cube model system I have. And the cube model system, for those who haven't been following through all the videos, is a JSON system I've been building for VoltEngine to work with loading cube-based models. The concept behind it is, A, we're going to have a custom model format for VoltEngine itself. This will eventually come with an editor and everything else. But B, is it's going to be able to import other cube-based models. So the target, of course, is going to be just about anything that I can think of. So we're definitely going to be doing tabular models with it. We're definitely going to be doing Blockbench. I think Craft Studios is another option, and of course I'm going to do legacy support for Technique models. So they'll all load in via the same system, which means in the code they'll be stored as the same exact format. So that potentially means I'll be able to convert back and forth between them if I put enough effort into this. Though I don't foresee that being a primary feature, so that'll be something we'll add later on. But when that is implemented, we'll be able to go into Blockbench, make these models, export them, and be done. And then when I go into 112, I can then have a JSON-based model that you guys can edit much easier, because it'll look exactly like the rest of the models you will use in 112 for doing this stuff, and you won't have to pull the custom editor up and everything else. So that'll work perfectly fine. It also means that if you wanted to, you could replace the custom models with a block state model or Blockbench model without a problem. Anyways, that's only one of the many features that have been added. The other thing that's been added is you can now invert these. Well, you're supposed to be able to invert these, and as soon as I go to actually do the logic, something happens where it doesn't work. I'm going to guess these guys have some kind of dirty logic on them, because these were in here before the code was implemented, so I'll have to check in to see what's causing that. Let me check the console really quick to make sure there's no errors. The only errors are packet errors, which I still got to work on doing. But you can invert these, so now you can use them as actual proper end caps, and of course in order to use it with the conveyor belt, you still have to, or use it for the insert, you still have to do the casing part. That does mean that these actually will work as endpoints now, so with this system it is working just fine. So we're actually exporting into this, and we can grab these out of here. And this will actually, in theory, do what it's supposed to do. I love how when I go to do demos, they don't actually work the way they're supposed to. Let me reset this, and that should work. I wish you better watch this work. A couple other changes. The inserter actually does properly rotate now, so for a few people did notice this, that the inserter was stopping at a couple rotation, just sitting there. This was a minor logic problem. When I went to go check to see if it was fully rotating and facing the direction, it had an error bar of 3% in each direction, just kind of to prevent it from breaking and doing other things. Well, this error bar ended up causing it to stop rotating. That has now been fixed. It actually does work well. With that, the snapping that people saw when the block was placed, or when it loaded into the world where it would be facing, like, say, 0 degrees and it would snap to the rotation, that has also been fixed. The rotation has also been improved. It now runs to alert function, so it's a lot smoother rotation. You can see there's basically no problems with it. It works really well. There's been a few other minor changes with that to basically work out with it. Some of the minor changes have also been placement. So when you actually do place this, the rotation will face you, and the robotic arm will face away from you, so there's no more rotation where it had to rotate to update. That's just a minor usability improvement. With it facing you, that's only temporary. The plan is to eventually go with that rotation system I was talking about with the actual rails. I don't have a rail nearby I could show this, I just have to go dig it out of the menu. So with the rail rotation system, which I do plan to actually work on this more and make it a lot easier to use, depending on what direction you're facing, the rail will face that direction. So if you're pointing at the side over here, it'll point that way. If you're pointing at the side over here, of course it's going to point the other way. The fact is, it actually does rotate in a different direction. Just the model does not support that rotation. So we do it like that, and it works really well. The plan is almost everything is going to support the same logic. Right now, everything supports pretty much the generic rotation system. That's just because that's the default rotation everything uses in the moment, and you have to apply custom rotation. So whatever system I use for this is going to be abstracted away and then applied to everything in the mod. That way there's a consistent rotation logic for it. Anyways, let's see if we can get this thing to work real quick. Okay. There we go. It's working now. I'm gonna assume this thing had some broken logic on it as well. So there's definitely some cleanup I'm gonna have to do with how these are saving and loading. I want to say what probably happened. A lot of these did actually save a local state on them. So if you have an older version and it ends up breaking on you, just break all the belts and replace them. That's the simplest, quickest fix. Until then, we'll actually go see if I can fix that. Outside of those changes, there's just been really a lot of minor bug fixes and everything else. You'll see those posted on Curse when I actually do post a change log for the beta version. But other than that, I'll be back with more content for you guys.